Having your dog be off-leash reliably and safely is so important because then you open up a whole world of opportunities for fun off-leash activities like hiking and different adventures with your dog like swimming, etc. But it seems like a ton of people imply that you can only achieve this reliability or behavior for your dog by using punishments with stuff like shock collars, which is totally not true. So let's get right into how to work gradually up to your dog being reliable off-leash without any of those tools. First off, let me just say that you should never, ever have your dog off leash if one, he doesn't have all the skills that I'm about to mention in this video, and more importantly two, if the area you are in is not an off leash permitted area. Following leash laws is not only important because it's literally the law, but also because leash laws are there to protect you, your dog, other dogs, other people, etc. Now, the first thing to do to prepare your dog to be off leash is to make sure that your dog has all of the basic off leash commands down. These commands are come, so recall, as well as wait or stop, or however the word you use is to make your dog basically freeze in place. I don't really need to go too deep into this, especially why recall is important, but basically the freezing command is really important in case your dog, for example, is walking ahead of you and you need him to freeze in place while a biker bikes by or something. It's just to ensure that you have control of your dog even when he's not right next to you. These skills are non-negotiable for the safety of your own dog. Once you have these commands down, it doesn't mean your dog is necessarily reliable off leash. Another thing you need to do regularly is to walk your dog on a leash every single day, preferably on a loose leash, aka no pulling, so that's something you should work on. Walking on a leash is the easiest way for your dog to be reliable off leash without having to actively train, really. With Mochi, we walked him on a leash every single day for the first X amount of months of his life, and then when he was finally ready to go off leash, he never ever walked far away from me, and it's still the same way today because we still walk him on the leash every single day. By walking your dog on a leash, especially a loose leash, like I said, your dog just gets used to walking next to you. That's just how it is. So when your dog does transition to off leash, he won't feel the need to go bolting away because he's just so used to walking near you that even when he's not on a leash and even when he's not forced to be next to you, he'll choose to stay within a certain radius. Another tip to prepare your dog to go off leash reliably is to reward your dog for checking in. You can do this by keeping your dog on a long leash, for example, and even when you do go off leash, you can keep reinforcing it when your dog checks in. So what this means is that every time your dog comes back to you without you having to prompt them or ask them to come, reward them with a treat or toy, whatever they prefer, or at least a lot of praise and petting if that's something that they enjoy. This just teaches your dog that staying close is good and checking in is good. You can even do the same reward system type thing every time your dog makes eye contact with you. When you have your dog's eye contact, the odds of them listening to something like come or literally anything while off leash just goes up really, really high. So teaching your dog that eye contact and checking in is good is an amazing way to prepare them to be off leash and be reliable. This next tip might be the most important tip of them all, and that's to do long leash walks often and never do off leash walks before you're ready. Long leashes are amazing because your dog is basically off leash, but you still have the insurance of the leash just in case your dog spots something and goes bolting after it, etc. in case of an emergency. Mochi, we use a long leash that's like 40 feet long, and Mochi rarely goes to the end of the leash, so basically he's off leash all the time. And this is another great way to practice being off leash in an on leash area. So you're simulating the whole experience, but you still have that insurance and you're still following the rules. This is also great because you can continue to practice things like rewarding for checking in and practice recall and just mimicking the entire experience of your dog being completely off leash. And in regards to letting your dog off leash before they're ready, that's basically setting them up for failure. Not only will your dog learn bad behaviors if they go off leash before they're ready, such as going really far away or not listening once in a while, that's just reinforcing it, but also I've had really awfully trained off-leash dogs run up to Mochi while we're on a leash in an on-leash area, and 9 times out of 10 when you have like an off-leash dog running up to an on-leash dog, there's going to be conflict because the dog on a leash will feel, you know, fight or flight kind of thing. And when flight is taken away by the leash, they will pick a fight with that off-leash dog that runs up to them. And that's why it's so important that everyone that doesn't have a dog that's completely reliable off-leash to keep them on a leash. So it's just not worth it to let your dog off-leash before they're ready to keep everyone safe. By following these steps, your dog will be set up for success and reliability when they're finally ready to go off leash, but make sure to go really slow and be patient because going off leash is a huge responsibility. And since there's so many ways to go on fun adventures without being completely off leash, for example, again, with like the long leash, there's no rush to going off leash. If you want a tutorial on how to get a bulletproof recall, which is really essential for going off leash, check out our video on that linked here on the screen.